Hey everyone, it's me Jake Paul and welcome to another video of IELTS. In today's video, I want to share with you some easy techniques that will help you write an IELTS Writing Task 2 essay without any problems. And make sure you take your time and pause at any section of the video and listen again. I am 100% sure you will improve your IELTS writing skills this way. So let's look at the question and see what that's about. The question has two parts. The first part of the question asks us to talk about the rate of divorce that has increased dramatically over the past few decades. So we know that they're asking us to talk about divorce and the problem of why it has increased dramatically. It's asking us also to talk about some of the causes and effects behind this. So because they've said causes, it is in the plural, they're asking us to talk at least about two or more. And effects is also in plural, so they're asking us to give two or more effects on this. Now, some people might say, well, can I give 3 or can I give 4 causes and effects? And yes, you can do that, but in the interest of time, and because this is a time-sensitive exam, you want to make sure you stick to writing at least 2 for causes and at least 2 effects. That way you know that you've answered the question correctly. Now, I know that all of you out there, or at least most of you out there, have problems starting your IELTS Writing Task 2 introduction. And believe me, I have had that same problem and I still have it too. And that's okay, because you've just been given this question and you're expected to write about it immediately. It takes some time to think about. It takes some brainstorming that you'd have to do before you go into this essay. Now, one easy technique that I use to counter this problem is to give a definition to that topic. Now, because we are talking about divorce, now we can say divorce is one of the most serious social problems globally. It is a very generic definition. There's nothing too specific about it. There's nothing wrong about it. I've also said for various reasons it has become very common and it affects all levels of society. This is what I feel about this topic. And that gives you the definition. Now you can use this definition in any other IELTS Writing Task 2 essay, and you could give your own definition to it. The reason why we also give this definition, or why I do it, is because I want to tell the reader, hey, this is the topic, or this is the question you asked me, and this is what I think about it. So that's also to make sure that you're not answering any other topic or you're going off tangentially to another topic. And so it helps you in so many different ways just to give that definition. We've already talked about the definition. Now let's talk about the technique of past and present. Now, the past and present technique will describe how this topic, or in this case, the topic of divorce, how it was in the past and how it is today. So I could say, in the past, divorce was quite rare. And today, however, a majority of marriages break up in the first few years. So using this technique of past and present, I've given the reader an idea of how it was in the past and how it is today. So now we have the definition, and now we have how it was in the past and present. Now that we've talked about the definition and the statement for past and present, the final statement in the introduction is the thesis statement. The thesis statement is basically a summary of what we're going to talk about in the rest of the essay. In this case, I want to say this essay will examine the causes of the high divorce rate and look at some of the effects. It gives a nice rounding conclusion to that introductory paragraph. Now that the introduction has been completed, I want to look at the causes of divorce. Now, I want to start the causes with the topic sentence, and we used that technique before in the introduction, and because it gives us a very common general way of easing into the rest of the essay. I know that divorce is a complicated issue. There's more than one reasons as to why it happens. That's what I feel about it, and that's what I'm going to say about it. So I say divorce is a complex issue with more than one cause. Okay, so we've talked about the topic sentence, and what are the causes? The first cause, I think, is the rapid change in society, and that's the main key word in my cause. And so I say one of the main factors is the rapid change in society. Now that I've talked about the reason, I need to justify it. I need to explain about this reason, right? So I say families nowadays no longer stay together. People live away from their parents, and women often work outside the home, which means the traditional rules of marriage have now changed. So here it's important to talk about the cause and justify it. The justification is very important. Just talking about the reason is not enough. You need to go about and explain it to whoever is reading your IELTS Writing Task 2 essay. Only then it makes complete sense. So the second cause of divorce is pressure to marry. And that's the reason. And now I need to say why. Remember, we need to talk about the explanation for that reason. So I say many young people rush into marriage. Their parents also often push young people into getting married. That's our second cause. I also have a third cause that I thought about. Now, this is not expected, but if you have time in the exam, you can go about writing a third cause, but only if you have more time and you are a fast writer. For example, here my third cause is unrealistic expectations and lack of preparations. That is the reason. Now, why I think about it is the main emphasis is on the cost of the wedding, not on the difficulties of sharing life with another person. Married life is not just roses and chocolates. Okay, so we've talked about the three causes of divorce. Let's look at the effects of divorce. That's the last part of our question. Okay, now we again want to use that technique of topic, that line which just generally talks about the entire paragraph. And here, because we're talking about effects, we want to say, hey, what are the effects of this divorce, right? We want to say the high levels of divorce have had many effects on children, women, and even the economy. Just a very general way of saying this concept of divorce is affecting not just certain people, but pretty much everybody. So who does it affect the most? I think the biggest effect is on children, and that's my first keyword. And then I go about explaining it. I say the children of divorced parents often have social or emotional problems. They may lack support or care in the home or have difficulties in the new family. Many of them even have problems at school or with the police. So the biggest effect, or the people who are the most affected, are the children. We said children are the most affected. I also think women are also affected, and that's my second effect. Now here you can say men are also affected as part of this. So you can use it in either way. It's here the reason why I've said women are affected is because it's difficult for a divorced woman to find someone to marry. They may also suffer from financial problems or from not being able to see their children. Now, this could be a country-specific issue and not exactly a global issue, and therefore you can change this to suit the topic in your own way. Okay, here I've talked about why men are also affected and the reason why they are. All right, so now that we've talked about causes and effects, let's go on to the conclusion. So finally, in the conclusion, I want to use the technique of definition that we've used previously before in the introduction. I can say, in conclusion, or some people say to sum it all, divorce is a serious issue with major implications for children, men, women, and society. Sometimes it's kind of interesting to talk about how this topic might be in the future, or to make a sort of a prediction. And I use the technique of future. I can say, if we do not prepare our young people for marriage and help couples to stay together, we will be building up trouble for our society and children. This is a nice way to ease off from the essay, to talk about something in the future, and a general closing for the whole essay. This might be the end of the essay, but you can always make the essay more interesting by giving examples from your own life and experience, or by talking about other people's life and experience. The essay we've talked about now was very generic, very general. This is something that happens all over the world. But to make that essay more personal, to make it more you want to talk about your own real experience. And I think that makes a little bit of a difference from a usual essay to something that's yours. And that's the end of our IELTS Writing Task 2 essay. Thank you so much for listening. I hope you've enjoyed it. Feel free to write your comments in the comment section below as to whether you've liked it or you've not liked it. Until next time, thank you for watching IELTS. Goodbye.